Hello world, I'm Nikki and I'm about to start talking about my eating disorder. I'm 21 years old and like many other people, I wasn't developing my eating disorder during my childhood or my teenage years. Looking back, I was a full of life kind of person. I loved life, I loved being alive, I loved eating as well. When I was around 11 years old, my body started to change, and looking back, I can definitely say how I didn't like any of it. After these major changes, I never loved or even liked myself. I always compared myself to other people, and looking back, I can tell how unhappy I was. I wasn't a whole person. There were so much stuff that I pushed away and looked deep inside of me, and I was only living on the surface. It was obviously a very unhealthy way to cope with life. That's why it was inevitable to end up having several mental breakdowns that I obviously couldn't handle. Nonetheless, I never talked about this to anyone because I thought, I was sure everyone has to deal with stuff like this, so why would I talk about it if it's such a common thing? As I previously said, I loved eating, but I hated my body. There were several times when I tried to lose weight by eating healthier and exercising more. And though they were successful, I couldn't live like this for more than 6 months. To mention something that shows how self-conscious I was, well, I still am. Back in 12th grade, we were on a class trip with my class, and there was this game where I had to climb up on one of the boys' back to sit on his shoulders. And I was terrified because even if he didn't think I was overweight by looking at me, now that he had to carry me, he definitely realized how fat I am. And I remember clearly how overwhelming my thoughts were because I was so focused on what he might think about me after climbing up on him. On January 10th, I went to a psychiatrist after months of struggling with this whole new life situation where I started the university, lost my friends around me, and felt like I'm going crazy because of all the things I felt back then. And after I told my parents I wanted to die, that's how I ended up there, where my diagnosis was major depressive episode. I'm planning to talk about this more in another video, but right now I just had to mention it because it's kind of connected to my story. So due to my depression, I lost my appetite, so I started to eat less and less. And I remember I thought maybe that's not a bad thing that I started to eat less because I might lose some weight, which is a good thing, right? When I talked about it to my psychiatrist, she told me it can be part of my depression, not another mental illness. But it didn't stop here. It started to become more than just a side effect. I've become obsessed with eating the littlest amount that was possible. It was like 2 apples and a little bit of soup for lunch, and obsessed with the craziest shit ever, which is Tumblr and its toxic pro-Anna universe that completely sucked me in. I don't want to go into details because this whole thing just fucks me up still, but I gotta mention how it affected me. I spent all days scrolling through these Anna accounts that were basically teaching others how to kill themselves. I had folders on my phone filled with hundreds of downloaded thinspo pictures of really skinny girls, motivational quotes for keeping on track, tricks for overcoming hunger, and loads of workouts that promised intense calorie burning. All this phenomenon is so damn toxic that it can poison any healthy mind. And there was me with a sick brain, and Anna accounts became my everything. On 28th of March, my psychiatrist told me I'm anorexic. That was the first time anyone has called me that. I basically laughed at her. Anorexic people are skinny, I said. I'm far from being skinny. Around that time, I believe I was around 45 kilos, which meant I lost about 10 kilos in about 3 months. I told my mom, who was waiting for me outside. My crazy doctor called me anorexic. How nonsense is that? Saying that out loud was totally insane. I didn't know who I should believe, me or my psychiatrist. I couldn't get it out of my mind. I remember I even watched a film called Starving in Suburbia, and I guess that was where it hit me. And I panicked that, oh my god, what should I do? I know I was texting to my friend, panicking about, oh my god, is this really true? I just didn't know what to do. The next morning, as I promised to my doctor, I found my bikinis from last year. I tried them on and I took photos of myself. And for the first time, I saw it. My body, not what my body dysmorphia made me see. I saw my actual body and I got scared. I didn't recognize myself. I knew something was wrong. I knew I needed to do something, but I didn't want it to get the treatment my doctor said I should get. So I told my mom that let me do it on my own, let me try to recover. And she eventually agreed. Things got a little bit better. I started to eat more, but I didn't give up on working out. I only let myself eat if I exercised. I did give up on my piranha obsession though. I deleted those folders and blocked the thinspo hashtag on Tumblr. My mind was clearer. I thought I can beat my eating disorder on my own, but clearly I could not. A couple of weeks later, I started to restrict again. I had a lot of fear foods. I started to count calories again. The voice inside my head was becoming louder and louder as time passed by. I started to lose so much weight. I even got scared every time before stepping on the scale because seeing those low numbers was scary. But at the same time, I felt happy that I didn't gain weight. Everything was a huge mess. I ate around 300 to 500 calories a day, and I almost never lied about what I eat or how much I ate. But of course I've had arguments mostly with my dad, so it was really hard for me. I felt upset and betrayed because the people who I basically stayed alive for were acting against me. Sure, it wasn't against me, but at that time I felt like that. As time passed by, I became weak, so weak that I couldn't even work out anymore because I would have passed out any time. You have no idea how challenging it was going upstairs, for example, to my room. It was really tiring and hard. I couldn't even walk without being out of breath. In the middle of July, I was around 40 kilos. It became scarier day by day, stepping on a scale. I'll never forget the faces of people who knew me before I got sick, seeing me like that. But I felt fat, definitely not thin enough. I laughed at people who told me I'm very skinny. My hair was falling out. Having a bath was a crazy struggle because I basically had to sit on my bones, which was really painful. I woke up every day at around 2 and 3 in the morning, and I always had to distract myself from food and being hungry. By the time I accepted the fact that I need to get a treatment, I didn't have the opportunity to choose anymore. The only option was getting into a hospital. Psychiatrist told me she won't be available for a month. So she told me she can't leave alone me like this, because there was a possibility that I'll end up in a very dangerous condition. At the time I was 37 kilos, which was around a 13-ish BMI, and she was worried that I might die while she's away. I couldn't do anything but accept what she wanted me to do, as I knew I just wouldn't be able to stop. The voice inside of my head became very loud and very, very violent. My first day in the hospital was the 6th of August, and though the guilt was horrible and really intense, I started to eat because I wanted to live so badly. I had to write down everything I ate and drank and how I felt after that, and the nurses measured my weight every morning. I always drank tons of water before that, so I weighed a little bit more. My motivation for cooperation was getting the hell out of here. While I was in the hospital, I attended therapy group sessions, which were incredibly challenging for me, and I talked to a psychologist daily, and I also had little meetings with my doctor every other day. I spent most of my time chatting with my family. I even took photos of me while I was eating, and my mom always told me how happy that made her. She also visited me every day, which I was really, really grateful for. I reached 40 kilos in 2 weeks, and that meant I could spend the weekends at home, and I was also allowed to go for a one-day trip to Vienna. The hospital released me on the 18th of September because we had a family vacation coming up. Even though I barely weighed around 41 kilos, if there wasn't this vacation, they would have kept me there until I reached 45 kilograms. So thank God we had that. And ever since that, I'm trying to recover on my own. I didn't get into another treatment, but I see my psychiatrist like once a month. I don't have a psychologist anymore because the one I had before the hospital I wasn't in a really good relationship with. We just haven't found anyone. So I try to recover. I'm still underweight, but I'm not in danger anymore. I have small relapses, but I didn't stop eating. It's really, really hard, but recovery is worth it, and I'm trying to do better every day. So, ladies and gentlemen, that was my story about my eating disorder, and I hope you enjoyed it. I know it's pretty silly to say, but I poured my heart out, and I just really hope I can help someone with it.